I am so excited. A new Chris Dangerfield book is coming out soon.
Oh, I am so happy too.
Dangerfield, Dangerfield.
Hello people, correlation and causation. So yesterday I made a video about that nauseating character Gary Stevenson, tax the rich, which just causes rich people to leave. That has always happened whenever it's been tried, obviously. And then last night I do a stream with jet pilot Tim Davis, props to him for coming on, about something he said in another video about people leaving the UK. So when I see this Neil McCoy Wald fella, who used to also be a pilot, release a video today called "It's Unbelievable How Many Are Leaving," well, that's just too much of a coincidence to let slide. So I haven't watched this, we'll be enjoying it together. Let's just roll VT. Enjoy the video. Don't like, don't subscribe, smash nothing, buy nothing. Just a few comments would be nice though, because it lets me know whether you like this sort of content, and it also lets me know what you think about the subject, because it's very important. Here we go.
It's unbelievable how many are leaving. Yes, we are seeing an ongoing mass exodus in the United Kingdom.
When you hear that it could be different groups of people leaving, and it could be a good thing. I mean, I'm sort of grasping a little bit, but okay, at this point, it could be encouraging. I think otherwise, though.
And I think you're going to be quite shocked by the information I give you today, because if you saw my video about 6 months ago, it was a kind of viral video, over 800,000 views, where I sort of broke the news on
Show off
the sheer numbers, and I broke that down as to what the truth was and what the government was reporting. And I was really shocked back then at how many people, and this isn't just millionaires, we can touch upon the millionaires and billionaires leaving, of course, in the video, but it's not just millionaires and billionaires anymore. It's normal, everyday people, like
who are getting out of a country that is dangerous, that is hostile, no longer feels like England, no longer feels like Europe. I can understand why people would leave. I can understand, I've got 3 kids and this is awful. We don't go out anymore. I got a bloke who subscribes to my channel. He said he's the only white person left on his street. And just to walk to the corner shop to get some milk, he dreads it. He fears it because he gets trouble every time. They don't want him there. They want him out.
everyday people, like most of the people that watch my channel here. The skills, the brains, the information that is leaving the United Kingdom right now, it really is like a sinking ship. It's somewhat worrying. Now, I gave you a statistic 6 months ago, and that was that for this was for the year of 2024, every single minute there were people leaving. So that was one person every minute. Now I want to show you what it's become now as we're in 2025. Another statistic though I gave you was that in 2024, 10,800 millionaires left. So that was one departure every 45 minutes.
And you've got to think about the amount of tax those people were paying. You know, I think it's something like 1% of the population pay 10% of the taxes, and 10% of the population pay something like 60%. And so when they start leaving, that tax pool, that money that is usually finds a way of going from public pockets to private pockets through this sort of processing machine we call government, well, that's drying up. And yet when your country's just letting people in and giving them welfare and houses and putting them up in hotels for 500 quid a night. Yeah, that, to say it's worrying is quite an understatement. It cannot maintain itself. A system like that collapses.
In 2025, the forecast is even more severe. This is millionaires and billionaires, 16,500 they forecast to leave. So that's not one every 45 minutes, it's one every 32 minutes. Now, you might say, well, why is that important, Neil? Why do I even need to know that? How does this affect me? It affects all of us. It doesn't matter where you are on the income scale. This affects all of us, the mismanagement of the economy, the finances, the government. And to give you a bit of context here, in 2023 to 2024, the non-DOMs, which you've heard a lot of on the news, paid £12.5 billion in taxes. So it wasn't what Rachel Reeves said, which was that they don't pay taxes. They actually paid 12.5 billion in taxes. And then I'm going to leave the sort of rich in a moment, and we're going to go over and look at some of the stats on the normal people.
It's interesting when you talk about the millionaires and the billionaires leaving, and you know the usual. I've just said it myself. They leave because there's more tax efficient places to live. But you've also got to wonder if you've got the money to leave and you just don't like it there anymore. You don't want to bring up your family there, or even if you're just single. If you've got the money, do I really have to put up with this? What it's become, what Blair and the Tories, just government, the state, the elites, the globalists have made of Western Europe and England. Do I have to put up with this? You know, I've done well for myself, I've earned a load of money. You know, no, I'm out of here. I'm pulling this out of the air, but I would guess that a fair amount of those millionaires and billionaires aren't leaving for tax purposes. They're leaving because they can and they want to.
So if you look at the UK economy, which is roughly £3.3 trillion, that's the GDP, the gross domestic product, and you divide that by the outflow that we've seen, that's 140 billion, that's just over 4% of the money that these people have left in 1 year. That's just the non-DOMs, the wealthy people who have left. That doesn't include the other entrepreneurs and all the jobs and all the skilled labour. One in particular I spoke to was a junior doctor. I can't remember his name. It was Ahmed or Mohammed or something like that. Really nice English guy, third generation. His parents were from somewhere in the Middle East. And I asked him, why are you actually leaving? And he said, I can get paid double or triple in other countries, and you're not well looked after in the UK. And then we laughed when he talked about the taxes. He said, Neil, do you know how much I pay in taxes? And I said, I can guess. So this is the shock that's happening. And Bloomberg Analysis has just done a report saying that the non-DOMs that are leaving could cost tens of thousands of jobs. And around...
Well, I was just thinking that. I'm guessing by DOMs he means domicile. So, for instance, I live in the Southeast Asia, but I am a UK tax domicile. I pay tax in the UK, so I'm guessing that's what DOMs is, not some sexual thing. But yeah, if an entrepreneur leaves, they may well also set up their operation elsewhere, meaning that all the people they employed in the UK, they're also going to lose their jobs because they were needed on the warehouse floor or in the factory floor, and that's now in Luxembourg or Switzerland or somewhere nicer.
Around £12.2 billion. Now, this is where it gets quite interesting. This is long-term emigration versus immigration. Now, you remember when I talked about the response to this, which was from the Labour government, and they said it doesn't matter. Let these people leave. If they want to flee, then that's up to them. If they want to abandon the UK type thing. And they said it doesn't matter because for everyone leaving, we've got one or two coming in.
If they want to abandon the hellhole we've made of this place, let them. I think a little bit of responsibility needs to be taken there.
And it's not that simple because, as I've shared before in some of the lessons here, one GDP doesn't equal one GDP from another country. And actually, we'll go on to a couple of tabs in a second now, and I'll show you that. So, for example, long-term emigration, over 500,000, but immigration was considerably more. And I pulled up the predominant nationalities. Now, I've included both legal and illegal immigration into the UK, just so that we've got a broader perspective here. So the main crossings are Albania, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Eritrea, Pakistan, and Zimbabwe. So I used the word crossings. I should have said in general, because some of them are illegal crossings, others are legal where they get visas to come in. So that will be India and Pakistan and Zimbabwe and some of the others. But it does say that of the illegal crossings, over 95% claim asylum when they come in. So that's the first point. We've got to get that through. Now, let's go on to a couple of the shared screen parts here. So 91 billion as a result of this left. And we said that it assumes that between 12 to 15% of non-DOMs would go. That was the government, what they said. Don't worry, only 12 to 15%, 12 to 25%. But actually, now we've got a lot more data. This was the original consultancy from Oxford Economics, which was in September, so about 10 months ago now. They suggested 63% would leave within 2 years. Well, actually, it's even more. We're just seeing this mass exodus taking place now. And it's interesting because a year ago, I talked about how the UK was second only to China. So you can see here, 9,500 left versus 15,200. These are wealthy millionaires. Well, that's not what's happened now. This is the new chart, okay? So it starts all the way up here. You're going to be shocked at this. So this is the new chart. Okay, keep looking out for the UK. Keep your eyes peeled here, as we would say. Where is the UK? Where is it?
Wow.
Oh, hold on. There's China. The UK is there. In fact, I've got to keep going across to show you. This is the UK, and this is the money that is leaving. So last year, this was all the data that I showed you last year, but this is the latest data here. 16,500 people, millionaires and billionaires, leaving. So it's now way more than China. It's not quite double. In fact, 15,600 actually.
And there's another aspect that we have to consider when we're talking about money leaving the country. It's when immigrants work in the UK and they send money home to their families. Understandable. It's obvious why they do that, but that's money that's just leaving the UK economy, and the numbers are shocking on that as well. Go and look them up. Go and look at the estimated. I'll tell you what, I'll do it now. Hang on a minute. Okay, so this is from the Migration Observatory website. It's part of the University of Oxford, so it's no right wing. It's no spinning the figures. Check this out. They call them remittances. That's money earned in a country that's sent back to the immigrant's country of origin. At around 9.3 billion in 2023, remittances from the UK remain lower than before the pandemic when adjusted for inflation. However, official figures are likely to be a significant underestimate. So remittances are difficult to measure, and official data only captured a limited proportion of all transfers. See understanding the evidence. According to the best available estimates from the World Bank, migrants in the UK sent £9.3 billion in remittances back to their home countries in 2023. In nominal terms, this was a record level. Remittances declined during the pandemic, but they recovered swiftly. However, when adjusted for inflation, remittances fell in 2023 and remained lower than levels seen between 2016 and 2019. But we're talking about roughly 10 billion leaving the British economy every year, added to the millionaires and billionaires leaving the UK for whatever reasons. Right, back to the other fella.
It's 16,500 if we were to do.
I mean, it's incredible. Beautiful England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, you know, wonderful Europe, you know, the sort of the cultural and historical beating heart of the world has now got more than twice as many people leaving annually than China, the most in the world. People are getting the out of the UK, and yet other people are coming in. It's almost like a replacement. I mean, I don't know if it's great, but it's certainly a replacement.
Are you shocked by what is happening? Are you upset? Are you, I mean, how do you feel about what's happening in the UK if you're a UK citizen?
Yeah, and I also want to know. Let me know, because this ties in with the 2 videos I made yesterday, so I'd be very interested in that.
If you're not a UK citizen, I know we would love to read your comments as to, you know, your thoughts on what's going on in the country, because I'm shocked is an understatement. Every day I keep seeing these new policies coming out. It's scary to me. It really is, the amount of money that is leaving. Now, I want to show you a really interesting.
Well, not only the amount of money that's leaving, but the amount of money that's been spent. I mean, we've just seen what's happened in Epping, and so they bust all of those immigrants out of Epping, and they put them up in a £500 a night hotel in Canary Wharf. They denied it at first, but then they went, actually, yeah, we did. And then they also, but the police bust in Antifa Black Bloc activists to Epping. They denied it at first, but yeah, afterwards they went, yeah, we did. Because that is the absolute state of the UK at the moment.
Now then, let's talk about this then, the capital exodus and the GDP. So this is the capital exodus that we've seen. And look, this is just year to date. I want you to look at this one here, focus on this. This is the United Kingdom here. 140, what's that? It's billion, 140 billion. Now you look at that compared to China here, and I've already done this for you. This is China's GDP, 17.8 trillion, and the UK is 3.3 or almost 3.4 trillion. That is the, and we're not getting growth, GDP growth, but China is. You can see here, China's getting 5.25%. And look at the population as well.
Look, I mean, look at the UK's GDP growth, 0.34%. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's on the brink of financial collapse. That's right on the brink, and it's not looking good. It's not like, oh no, it's going to pick up, because we've got the same government with the same ridiculous policies that are going to lower that number. And when that growth stops growing, yeah, you know, all that money you've been paying in for your pension, I wouldn't bank on it. I wouldn't bank on getting a pension.
It is staggering. It really is. Now, I wanted to show you this example then that the government seems to say it doesn't matter, one in, one out, and all this sort of nonsense. Well, let's just look at the US. There's GDP per capita for the United States is 80,000. Okay, so let's now look at United Kingdom. It's 50,000. Now then, let's look at a couple of these countries where they say one in equals one out. Let's just take Albania. That was the first one, wasn't it? Albania is 8,000. That's the, by the way, we're looking here, this box, GDP per capita. Okay, so that's Albania, right? What about Pakistan was another one. Pakistan, 1,365 is the GDP per capita there. So one person does not equal one person. Zimbabwe should be tracked. $2,000
Rhodesia.
for Zimbabwe. Afghanistan's probably going to be 500, $416. So it doesn't equal that. The media and the government, they've got a lot to answer for here. Now, another thing I want you to see.
They've been lying to us. What about immigration statistics? What the hell's going on? Why didn't someone tell me about this before?
Is that this is from the government website, so you can see it here, gov.uk. These are the official statistics on income tax, where they don't care that all of these people are leaving. Well, if you can see this blue box here, we've got a key. The top 50% share of income, the top 50% share of taxes that they pay. Then we have this purple, which is top 1% share of income, top 1% share of tax. Now, this is really important. If we look at 2022, just focus on these four boxes here, okay? So 2022 to 2023, the top 50% share was 75%. And they paid 90% of all taxes, 90.4%. The top 1% share, that was 28.5% in all of taxes. Now, as we go down here then, and we're now focusing on this dark blue box downwards, this means, again, let's look at the key. This is the top 50% share of income, so it dropped by 0.5%. But look where it dropped the most heaviest. It dropped by 2% here. So this is the 1% leaving. And this directly impacts the tax revenue and drops it dramatically. Now, another thing we should...
It's important. I mean, I know economics is a bit of a confuser, but 2%, it's just 2%, isn't it? But it's a huge amount of money. You know, don't let the way the government sort of sell you their charts make you think, that's 2%, isn't it? You know, what's that? Couple of quid on £100. But when you're talking about government taxes, it's a phenomenal amount of money going.
Talk about is jobs. And people often say to me, well, I don't care all of these rich people leaving and taking their companies with them. Good riddance to them. You know, you hear this all the time. Well, you would care if they...
And you hear that all the time because it's been culturally indoctrinated into working class people's minds. They haven't thought about it. Okay, hashtag not all. But this isn't something they've sat down and looked at a load of charts and all that. This is an intentional ideological effect. These are the mechanisms that globalism uses. They want working class people to say things like, what, you want to leave? Go on. Fuck you, we don't need you anyway. Who cares about you? They want you to think that. They want people to think that. Because then it covers their asses. And it covers the significant and exponential damage that it's doing to the country that the bloke saying, go on, skedaddle, don't want you anyway, is still living in.
Well, you would care if they take your job with you. And this is what we are seeing. Some of these companies are leaving, and especially the tech or the finance, insurance, some of the others, they're taking a lot of the jobs with them. And this is on top already of the AI that's taking jobs. So we're seeing a lot of jobs actually disappearing. Now, let me show you this. So again, this was up to April, and I want to show you up to...
Just look at it collapsing into red. You don't even need to know much about this bar graph here, and you just see it go, and then it goes below. It goes, it's under the plimsoll line.
To July in a moment. This is up to April. This is the jobs, the payroll that have fallen since the budget, since all this was announced. This is it now. Okay, you ready? This is it up to June. It absolutely plummeted even more. So if you thought it was bad before, it's now plummeted even more. We're down to 41,000 in the negative. It wasn't like that before. So this is really serious. And now we're seeing the Financial Times just put out an article yesterday. UK economy sheds jobs for the 5th consecutive month in.
Look at that subheading. Uncertainty from the US trade war. Yeah, is that the more significant factor in this? Is that really, or are you just trying to spin it on that? Ridiculous.
June, the jobs are leaving, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, the jobs are leaving. We just saw this article came out yesterday. This was out of the Telegraph. Billionaire puts £250 million mansion up for sale after declaring the UK's gone to hell. This was the Norwegian.
It's just, and no one reads that and says, what does he mean? No one reads that and says, what does he mean? They know exactly what he means. The people are leaving. The money's leaving, the jobs are leaving, and we all know why. I won't carry on with the rest of the video, there's only a few minutes left, but I think you get the idea. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Look after yourselves, people, and don't forget to tell the people you love that you love them. Ta-da.
This video, like, share and subscribe. Bye bye.
Sweet, sweet.